Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. You know, it's interesting how impossible seems to become possible when you at least give it a try. When you at least give it a try. But you know what? I'm going to tell you, today we're going to be talking about doubt and kind of unpacking what doubt really is and how it impacts us and how it can really take its toll. But we have ways of putting it back into its place. We're going to talk about that today. I'm really excited about it. But I want you to know first that on Friday, I'm going to be answering everyone's questions. You have an opportunity to ask nutrition questions, supplement questions, cooking questions, whatever you want to ask. Just send them in to Saving Dinner, okay? It's really easy. support@savingdinner.com, and in that subject line, question for Leanne on Friday, it will be here on Friday. That's it. Somebody just said, I don't mind reading it backwards. Show me the quote. There it is. Can you read that? I'm only holding it for a minute. Boy, you know what? When I was in 6th grade, I had a teacher named Mrs. Chilton in Lydia Jackson School in Whittier, California. Mrs. Chilton was the coolest teacher. I loved her. She was my teacher. She was just so lovely. She used to write backwards on the board, and she made my head explode, right? She used to take the chalk, remember the chalkboards? She'd go up to the chalkboard and she'd write backwards, and we all thought she was just so interesting. I made it my life's goal to be able to write backwards, and I could write backwards. I could even write backwards right now if I sat down and really thought about it, go back into the old archives of my head. But I just thought that was the coolest thing. I think that's got to do a little brain connect there. I'm going to study that and see. We did on Monday, we did a really great webinar called Be Strong, Stay Strong. Because next week we're going to step into a new challenge called the Be Strong, Stay Strong Challenge. And this is to just put fitness into the equation. It's free. Go check it out. Go to savingdinner.com/strong and check it out. We have the whole guide that you can download, all the things, a food diary, everything. It's to keep you connected and going to the next level, into the next thing. I promise you, it is well worth it. And tomorrow night, we are also doing a webinar for What's Next. And I know for all of you who have done this, been to my What's Next webinar, you're going to be blown away because tomorrow's completely different. And Jenny, do you have a link for that? She's out there. I don't even know what the link is for tomorrow, honestly. But it'll get posted in here. I'm telling you, it's just so fantastic. It's tomorrow night. Okay, it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And I believe if you go to savingdinner.com/next is what it is. I'm not sure. I don't even know what the pretty link is. I have my own special links so I can remember them. So you saw my example photos. See, I told you. It's good. I mean, I'm not like muscly built and everything like that. I certainly don't have a perfect figure, but I am strong and I like being strong. Being strong is fantastic. I'll take that over, all of this any day of the week. And being strong makes me feel like I could do anything. You know how funny, isn't it? That muscle that you carries that muscle into your head too. Boom shakalaka. We have a link in it somewhere in here. It's burn. Sorry. savingdinner.com/burn is what you want to sign up for, because what's next is something that's a little bit smaller and more pointed to what we're doing. You can add that in with doing the strength challenge next week, the Stay Strong, Be Strong challenge. And I am telling you, this is where it's at. This is how we change the whole trajectories of our lives. Remember this. This is what this show is about. It's called The Daily Dish, and it's about bringing vibrancy back into your life. Heart, mind, body, and soul. Yes, everything that's on the end of your fork counts. Every little thing that you do, functional fitness, counts. And what we think about counts. They are all incredible. And it all goes our way toward building the vibrancy in our lives that we want. That's fantastic. When you start to really understand that and grasp that and work toward that, everything starts to change and shift and become the very best version of yourself that you can be. And that's my heart for you. That's my heart. And don't forget, the other last thing that I'm going to tell you about is we have Thanksgiving menus for everybody. Free, of course. SavingDinner.com/thanks. Whatever style you eat, it's all there. We're talking recipes, menus, shopping lists, timelines. It'll get you ready for the holidays in a way that'll make you feel calm, collected, and all the dots dotted, all the T's crossed. Boom. Okay. What about doubt? Anyone here ever have a doubt? I mean, what a dumb question to ask, right? You ever feel doubtful? Well, you know what doubt can be just really consuming. Doubt can take us down, and doubt, if we're not careful, will light up our amygdalas, part of our brain, and say to us, oh no, you can't do that. It's way too dangerous. And we're talking about something like doing a sprint, or maybe trying a few exercises, or just something that we think is beyond what we can do. No. I want to stay small and tiny and in this little container, in this little corner, and do nothing. But the fact is, we can bolster our belief in ourselves and vanquish the doubt when we make the decision that this is what we're going to do. Simple, right? Simple, maybe not easy, but simple nonetheless. It's a matter of flipping a belief. And this is what we have to look at, that doubt's that thing that can paralyze us. Doubt it stops the momentum that we have going that's pro us. It stops everything in its tracks. It makes us think that we just don't have the capacity. We don't have the capabilities. And we talked about that extensively this week. But the fact is we do. We've allowed doubt to play too big of a role in our lives. We have placed doubt sort of on a pedestal and allowed it to be the conductor of our lives. This is what doubt's going to allow us to do, and this is what doubt's not going to allow us to do. Doubt's incredible. But I want you to know something. It is also simply a little bit of a feeling that we have. It's an emotion. That's it. Because the doubt that we're feeling right now will flit and fly away tomorrow, as long as we start going into the direction of our dreams. And it requires action, of course. But the biggest thing here is that we don't recognize it, that we let it play in the back of our minds without totally processing it. And that's what I want to talk about today, because when we can put doubt really in the place that it belongs, and we stop allowing doubt to conduct our lives, then suddenly there is this beautiful symphony playing, and it's not just one loud tuba player over here in the corner. We don't want that. We want a beautiful life. We want the harmonization of all the facets of our life to come into play, not just one thing. And that's what doubt tries to do. It tries to take over and push us aside and say, no, doubt here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to run this show. And then your amygdala, which is that part of your brain that wants to keep you safe, says, yeah, risk, doubt, red light, red light, red light. We can't do that. We can't do anything. We need to go back to being teeny tiny and small. We need to go back to being in our place and playing small. We need to make decisions that don't support us anymore. That's what doubt does. Doubts are just part of the whole feeling complex. That's all it is. Doubt is not the truth. I want you to write that down. Doubts are not the truth. The truth is everything you need and everything you desire is right inside of you. That was part of my meditation today. Everything I desire is within me. Everything. And if I desire to live a life that is free, a life that is abundant, a life that is full, a life where I'm stepping into my potential, what role does doubt have in that? None. Doubt is just an emotion, and doubt is something you just say, come on. It's like having a pesky little mosquito. Get it out. Light the candles, make the things go away. Put on the whatever neem or whatever it is that you put on to keep them away, but do not allow doubt to have so much say-so in your life. And you know what is interesting to me? I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I thought about, because it's part of our human experience too, right? Doubt is part of it. But the problem is that we allow it to be too big a part of it. We all have doubts. We all do. It's part of that. But we have to put doubt squarely in its place, or it will decide to take over. That's what doubt does. That's what it does. It just goes in there and says, hey, I'm all about this. I'm going to take you down to Chinatown. No. Only do this. Only say, okay, I will acknowledge you, doubt, for what you are. You're telling me that this is a little scary, that it's a little different, that it's unknown territory, but I'm in control of this. I'm the conductor of my own life, not you. Doubt needs to be put in its place. We doubt everything, if we're honest, right? We doubt, this isn't going to work. This is too hard. This isn't good enough. We doubt, are we good spouses? We doubt, are we a good friend? Are we a good parent? Are we good in our job? Are we good at what we do? Am I a good writer? Can I do this? Am I capable? Do I have the capacity for this? We doubt, we doubt, we doubt. We all do it. But the difference between what I'm talking about and where we get stuck with is if we allow that doubt to run the show. When doubt comes to call, we start to compare ourselves, don't we? If we start down, oh, we can't do that, but look at her. She's got this made. She can do everything. Look at her life. Her life's perfect. Her kids are great. Her house looks good. She looks good. Everything's perfect in her life. That's what we do. That's what doubt does, because we don't believe enough in ourselves, but we believe in everybody else. And we compare, lose our joy, lose our confidence, and go into that little tiny container that's sitting for us in the corner of the room where we feel small because we've compared ourselves, because we've allowed doubt to do the talking. But doubt really is fear dressed up, isn't it? It's like, Halloween a few weeks ago, when kids come knocking at your door, they're all dressed up. You don't see it for who these kids really are. They're dressed in costume. That's what doubt does. It dresses in costume. It dresses in a costume that says, well, doubt, this fear, this huge fear, is because you can't do it. It's shrouding itself in doubts. It's shrouding itself in saying that you are incapable. It's shrouding itself in unworthiness. It's shrouding itself in a push to play small instead of playing full out. That's what doubt does. But honestly, again, valid emotion, feeling a little uncertainty, but keep it in balance with all the other things that are in your life. Because I'm never going to say to ignore the way you feel. I'm just going to say don't put all of your stock in that feeling. Because when we live by our feelings, we're going to be making some huge mistakes in our lives. When we have an opportunity to unplug from the feelings, doing a little bit of analysis and say, aha, here's the gap, here's the hole, here's the thing I need to work on, we become a whole lot more empowered. We come into this place of really fierce power because we understand that what we think about expands, and what we focus on does become our destiny. And when we give that credence over and give that power over to fear, fear is the one doing the work, not us. Fear is the one that's taking over and is causing all the problems. So fear can either fuel doubt, to be too cautious, and can cause us to be too careful and not trust the process, not trust the person, and not trust the plan. Have you seen that? I've seen that on occasion. In our sprint groups, you just can't do it. It's too hard. It's just too overwhelming. It's too this. It's too that. Giving all the focus over to that thing instead of focusing on the things you can do, the things that you're capable of doing. Have you noticed that? We do this as people. This is what we do. kind of our human thing as well, is that we focus on the things that we are unable to do or think that we can't do. For example, I've got bad knees. I can't do any of this stuff. Yes, you can. You just modify the exercise. That's what you do. We do not have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We simply need to determine how this applies to ourselves. That's what I mean by pulling out the emotional plugs. When we pull out the emotional plugs, we can get into steep analysis of what needs to happen here. We can be analytical. We can pull it all out and say, you know what? That's incorrect. How can I feel like this? Because you know what? You do it with others, don't you? Have you noticed that? That we have the ability to see others for who they are, but we don't do that with ourselves. We see ourselves as much smaller. Heather just said, fear tolerated is faith contaminated. That is 100% it, Heather. That's exactly what it is. Fear, the very actions that we take shouldn't be shrouded by doubt. They should be shrouded by possibility, you know? Instead of thinking, oh, I just don't know that I can do that, just say, just think about the possibilities. Remember the questions that we ask ourselves? What if? What if I did this? And I know I'm feeling doubtful. I know I'm feeling a little uncertain, and maybe it even feels dangerous to do this. But what if I did it? What if this was something that I could do? What if I just did it anyway? What the heck? Those kind of things are the things that we need to do, because it's only overwhelming when we decide it is. You know, this is decisions. This is choosing a path. And if we decide that it's overwhelming, then my goodness, I promise you it will be. If we decide we can't do it, if we decide it's too hard, or if we allow doubt to fully take over our whole lives, it's going to come right out in the evidence of the results that we get. Doubt chips away at your self-worth. I love this because Van Gogh said this: if a voice inside of you says you cannot paint, then paint. The voice will be silenced. That's it, right there. When we think we can't do something, then we need to step up and do it. When we do that, we're going to get results. We're going to astound ourselves. We're going to build confidence, and we're going to silence that doubt voice. Because doubt takes us out of purpose. It takes us out of purpose, and it ruins our power, takes our power away, and it takes the action steps out of what we're doing. That's what it does. If we allow it to have its full-bloomed effect in our life. So what we need to do is recognize what doubt does to us. This is what happens, right? We don't reach out to someone who needs us because we think, well, we don't have the answers. We're not capable. We doubt what things that we could offer in this relationship. And the fact is that it takes two to have a relationship. And when we step into that, things start to happen differently. We love better. We love more. And doubt becomes smaller and smaller. And we find that we don't buy the food because we doubt that we're going to like it, or we doubt that we can cook it, or we doubt that our families will eat it. Well, when we step into it and we make a decision that we're going to do this anyway, we find ourselves feeding ourselves better. We find ourselves feeding our families better. And we find that that doubt that we had that, oh, well, they'd never eat cabbage or whatever it is, goes away. And when we don't speak up because we doubt that anyone will listen, well, guess what happens? We don't have a voice in our lives. We don't feel heard. We don't feel listened to. And one of the things that I love, it was from that, Avatar movie, you know, when they were talking about, you know, when the big purple creatures, I don't even know what they were, the avatars, I guess, I don't know. When the way that they said, I love you, was, I see you. And this, to me, is exactly what it is. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. And doubt will hold me back from either one, both of those things. And we need both of those things in our lives. We need to be seen. That means we're counted into the equation. We need to be heard. That means we have a voice in our lives. And doubt will happily take that all away from you. So remember this when doubt comes a-calling and knocking on your door, that to step away from that is to step into your power. You got that? Step in to your power. There's a pinkies up. So we can feel inadequate. We can feel uncomfortable. It happens. But embracing doubt instead of possibilities creates dangerous territory and keeps us small forever and ever. Amen. Yep, Anna, don't hide your light under a bushel basket. That's exactly right. It's a complex emotion. It's part of who we are. And it's also molded by our life experiences. But again, taking you out of that whole thing, is this true? Is this true? Just because my dad was, a drunk, does that mean all men are drunks? Just because my dad was a philanderer, does that mean all men are philanderers? Those are the things that we need to keep tabs on and take a look at and recreate our emotional, mindset of what's really true. This is the most important thing you need to do. It doesn't have the right to keep you contained. It doesn't have the right to keep you small. It doesn't have the right to keep you scared. The only reason it does is because you allow it. So, you ready for this? What are we going to do with this? You have to understand that doubt is not the primary emotion. It's just part of the emotional complexity that we all have. And it doesn't need to be blown up. So it's an emotion. It is not a directive. It is not a directive. It doesn't control. It only controls when you allow it to. And number two, you've got to doubt the doubt, because sometimes it is molded by life experiences. And sometimes our experiences have critically wounded us. We're all wounded in some sense or another, some worse than others. This isn't a comparison game. This is just the truth of what it is, And when we look at this, we start to think, are we putting things out of proportion? Remember the story of Henny Penny, that little chicken, the chicken who had an acorn fall on her head. And so she's like, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. And she's absolutely hysterical with this one experience. We've all had an experience that made us henny pennies. But again, when we get to step back from that and get to call it for what it is, doubts not only aren't the truth, they're just feelings. They're just feelings. They're a one-time experience that do not have to impact everything that we do. That you can take that to the bank. You get to choose your emotion. You get to choose your path. You get to do this and put things into proper perspective when you step away from it, unplug from the emotion, and make a critical analysis of this whole thing. We're capable of that, by the way. I know men oftentimes say, oh, you're a woman and you're emotional. Men are much more analytical. I mean, I grew up on that. That's just not true. We're all human and we all have analytical brains. We all have the ability to step back and pull back. We need to step into our own power. And we don't need to have a gender assigned to us to do that, right? That's the thing that just drives me nuts. When we categorize each other and we put ourselves, no, I don't know. I have those capabilities just like a man, and so do you. Because we're women, we're fierce, we're Amazonians. We're the ones who give birth to this whole entire universe. And you know what? Step into that power. Women are strong. They are incredible. And they have the ability to do this. That's it. That's it. So when you see the fear rising its ugly head in your life, and it will, welcome to humanity, call it out for what it is and put it in its proper perspective. That's number 3. We all have the ability to call it out. It will come a knocking. It comes to your door, probably every day, probably a few times a day. Are you going to allow it to have its say-so in your life? Are you going to allow it to control you? Or are you going to instead be on your path of excellence? Your path of excellence is going to take you where you need to go. Not without obstacles, not without a little bit of fear factor kind of raising itself up, not without the doubts. It's there, it's all there, and it's on the side of the road as you go. But I have this to say, and this is number 4. You've got a community behind you. You've got a bunch of powerful women who are finding their truth in this message as well, who are leaving doubt behind and going forward into the life that they want to lead, grasping, embracing, and holding on to vibrancy. That's what we want, ladies. That's what we want, lovelies. That's our path. That's our path. Your goal's bigger than your doubts, right? When you decide it is, your goal is much bigger. The plans that you have for your life are much bigger. The beauty that you see in that vision for your life on the horizon, striving for that, that is where those emotions can go and direct everything that you want. Because everything I desire is within me. It is. That's how God created you. Do you see that? He created you that way, with purpose, with missions, with a plan. And your plan and your mission and your purpose is to help others. And how that shows up in your life will be given to you by God himself when you open up and tell him you're ready. Because when you're ready, the teacher comes. That's what I know for a fact. But stay in community. Let the community fuel your confidence and take away the doubt. Don't fuel your doubt yourself. Don't go into isolation. Don't get small and shrink. Get larger. Stand up. Step up. Be in the boat with the rising tide and create inside of you this place of opportunity. It's yours if you desire it. It's yours if you want it. It's yours if you make a decision for that instead of all this doubt. Doubt's like a bunch of, ghosts. Doubt's always going to come and say, hey, let's go play. It's up to you to not answer the door. It's up to you to say no. This is what you need to be doing. So, when you feel this doubt start to shroud you, what are you going to do? You're going to get your body clutter buddies help. That's what you're going to do. That's your alignment assignment, by the way. Reach out. Doubt doesn't need to stay in the corner and get fed with all the other darkness, right? It does not. You shine the light on it, it's going to come out and it's going to be exposed for what it is. That's number one. Number two, write about it. You got your journal for this. Write about it. And then afterwards, maybe take an assessment of that and just say, is this just really the truth? Or is this just how I feel for this moment? Because I will tell you, I've read my journals from a year ago or 2 years ago, and let me tell you what. That's not the truth of who I am. It was just how I felt at the moment. And it seemed overwhelming, but it wasn't. It was just a fleeting feeling. That's what doubt is too. And then recognize how wrong this is. Any doubt is not a thing on you. It's not saying that you're wrong. It's not saying that you're awful. It's nothing. It's just something that you happen to feel. So be clear with your goals. That's what this is. It's a call to your goal. Your goal is what you want to be focusing on. Your goal. Because if you can focus on your goal, you can put some feet on that and you can start walking toward it. And allow the doubt to come up. Deal with it right then and there. And remember, if you're going to minimize anything, minimize that. If you're going to focus on anything, focus on the possibility. Focus on the excellence. Focus on your community. And be the rising tide that lifts all boats. Because you have the ability to do that. Isn't that so good? I love this. I love this message because this message is for me. I have the doubts too. I get wrapped up in them and find myself in the place of just allowing them to shrink me down. And no longer, because I know what doubt is. It's just one more of all those feelings. And it's easy to put it back into its place when we understand that it is going to diminish and we still have a goal in front of us. That's the important thing. Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.